Hey guys, welcome to the Reparenting Daily podcast, your daily guide for inner child healing. This podcast helps you establish a consistent reparenting routine and is divided into 3 sections. The first is a daily reading, the second is a discussion of that reading followed by suggested journal prompts, and the last section is a peaceful meditation for closing. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from whenever and wherever you're joining us. I'm so glad that you're here as we continue on this journey of self-expansion and growth. If this is your first time, welcome. Now, before we dive in, I have a few quick reminders. Please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Your support here helps us spread the word, allowing us to continue to grow this community. Next, I'd like to introduce our Patreon group, where we have 3 weekly meetings. On Sundays, we have a meditation meeting. On Tuesdays, we have book club meeting. And on Thursdays, we have open topic discussions. These meetings take place at 6 p.m. CEST, so Amsterdam, Paris time. For my next announcement, I'd also like to introduce the Reparenting Daily journal, which you can find on Amazon. This journal follows along with the podcast, so each weekly and monthly themes are reflected in the journal. It provides space for you to keep your notes with plenty of extra resources on each topic to be discussed. It's an excellent tool, and if you purchase it, you can join our weekly meetings for free. Just send me an email and we'll get you linked in. For the last announcement, I'd like to introduce one of my most meaningful creative projects, a 3-volume series entitled Fairy Tales for Reparenting. Now, you might be wondering, why fairy tales? Aren't those just for kids? But through my personal healing journey and in studying the work of Carl Jung, Marie-Louise von Franz, and other spiritual and psychological traditions, I've come to see fairy tales as powerful symbolic maps for transformation. They carry deep, timeless wisdom, especially for those of us doing the hard work of reparenting ourselves. The series follows the structure of the hero's journey. Volume 1 explores the wounded child, stories of loss, betrayal, and innocence. Volume 3 is about the trials of endurance, cunning, and self-discovery. And Volume 3 is the return, stories of transformation, power, and wholeness. Each story is followed by journal prompts and space to reflect on how each story connects to your own inner healing journey. These are not just tales, they're tools. They're an invitation to connect with the part of you that still believes in magic and possibility and healing. You'll find both familiar classic and lesser-known stories from cultures around the world, offering you fresh insights and inspiration on your path. All 3 volumes are now available on Amazon. Your support means so much to me, not just for this project, but for the larger mission of helping myself and others reconnect inwardly. Reparenting is like nurturing a bonsai tree. It's not fast, it's not flashy, but with care, patience, and consistency, it will transform you. Thanks so much for being here and for supporting this work, and also for committing on your personal journey of self-expansion. Now, without further ado, let's dive into today's practice. Today's reading is a blog article entitled How to Be More Assertive. It's by Nick Wingle. Just as a reminder, we are in July, and the theme for this month is establishing boundaries and assertiveness. We're in week 3. This is the first day of week 3, which is July 15th until the 21st. And the theme for this week is communicating assertively. I will just read a portion of the article and I will bounce around a bit because some sections are overlapping, but it's very long and a very interesting article, so I do suggest that you check it out and read it in its entirety when you have some time. But I'll just be bouncing around and I'll give you a heads up for that. Do you wish you were more assertive? Maybe you wish you felt more comfortable expressing your views and opinions in front of others. Or maybe you wish you could be more confident in saying no and setting boundaries. It could be that you simply want to get better at asking for what you really want. In this guide, you will learn not only how to be more assertive, but also how to discover a deeper understanding of what assertiveness is, how it works, and why it's so important in almost every aspect of your life and relationships. Assertiveness and the 4 communication styles. As we'll talk about later, assertiveness is more than just a way of communicating. Being assertive, but assertive communication is a good place to begin to understand the more general concept. The 4 styles of or communication types are passive communication, passive-aggressive communication, passive-aggressive communication, and assertive communication. Whether you communicate with people Whenever you communicate with people, whether you know it or not, you're using one of these styles. Let's briefly discuss and describe what they each look like and where they come from. Number one, passive style of communication is all about keeping your head down and avoiding conflict. It often takes the form of going with the flow, avoiding conflict, giving in to other people's requests and demands, holding back from expressing your own desires and preferences. You can notice that passive communication doesn't mean not communicating at all or saying nothing. Instead, passive communication usually takes the form of going with whatever someone else suggests, despite not actually wanting to. People with a passive communication style often look extremely busy or active because they're constantly running around and working hard to take care of everyone else's requests. An overly passive style of communication is one of the biggest causes of anxiety, chronic stress, and burnout. Number two, aggressive communication. The aggressive style of communication is the inverse of the passive style. Rather than doing what is asked for you by others, you try to force others to do what you want, even at the expense of their own wishes. Put another way, in the passive style, you give up an unreasonable amount of control over your own life, but in the aggressive style, you take an unreasonable amount of control over other people's lives. A consistently aggressive style of communication is almost always a response to fear and insecurity. While aggressive communication can feel empowering in the short term because it's an ego boost, the long-term results are never satisfying and often make those feelings of insecurity worse. And over time, most people who use aggressive communication end up alienating the most important people in their lives and feeling increasingly alone and isolated, which only feeds their insecurity. Number three, passive-aggressive communication. Passive-aggressive communication is a combination of the passive and aggressive styles. It usually is an attempt to get your own way or express frustrations and dissatisfactions while simultaneously avoiding the responsibility of those consequences. Passive-aggressive communication often works in the short term, but almost always leads to poor results in the long term. This is because the people around you may eventually become so frustrated and upset with you that it can cause major relationship strife and loss. And people who regularly use passive-aggressive communication style understand that they're not being totally honest with the way that they relate with people. Chronic guilt and anxiety build up over time. And number four, assertive communication means communicating in a way that is fully honest about your own wants and needs and respectful of the other person. To get a better sense of what exactly assertive communication is and is not, let's look at some brief misconceptions about assertiveness. Number one, assertiveness is not the same as aggressiveness. Aggression is when you have to violate the rights of others in order to pursue your own needs. Assertiveness, by definition, is the maximally respectful of the rights of others, even if you don't always go along with their wishes. Number two, assertiveness is not about other people, it's about you. Fundamentally, assertiveness is about controlling your behavior, not other people's. It's not a way to control or manipulate other people to get what you want. Assertive communication is about taking responsibility for yourself and your behavior regardless of how other people behave. And number three, assertiveness is not a personality trait, it's a skill. Of course, our basic temperament and personality structure may influence our tendency to communicate assertively or not, but fundamentally, assertiveness is a skill that anyone can cultivate with a little bit of practice and patience. Here are some practices he gets to suggest to begin working on that. If we go down, we'll look at, he starts to share what he calls an assertiveness matrix. This can be a good thing to check out to wrap up this section. Thanks for being here, and that's the reading for today. Welcome back. As children, many of us might have learned that our needs don't matter or didn't matter. Our voice might have been silenced. Our no's were simply ignored, and maybe even our boundaries were punished. So we might have become passive-aggressive or passive-aggressive communicators, not because we are broken, but because we're trying to survive. Today's reading reveals that assertive communication, speaking honestly while respecting yourself and others, is a skill we never got to practice, but desperately need. Reparenting means giving your inner child the power to say, I exist, I matter, my needs are valid. It's not about controlling others or always getting your way. It's about learning how to stand in your truth without shame. Assertiveness allows you to stop leaking energy into people pleasing or avoidance and start speaking with dignity. When you communicate assertively, you're reprogramming your nervous system to believe I'm safe, I'm worthy, I can ask for what I need without guilt. And that is radical healing. As we go into the journal prompts today, number one, which are the 4 communication styles that I grew up using to survive? How did it protect me and how is it hurting me now? What does self-respect look like in my daily communication? Where am I still abandoning myself? How can I begin to speak more assertively? And number 3, how can I begin to speak more assertively this week, even in small ways? That's it for today. As always, thanks for being here and take care of yourself. And please do be well. Welcome back. Welcome back. Now, this is the third and final section of the daily podcast. This is your silent meditation. Please go ahead and find a space where you can be comfortable and undisturbed, where you can relax and spend some time with yourself for this 10-minute silent meditation. You can choose to be sitting, standing, lying down, or in whatever position makes you comfortable today. Take a moment to simply be with yourself. Focus on your breath and gently connect with each part of your body. If thoughts arise, don't let them overwhelm you. Just observe them without attachment. Imagine them as leaves drifting down atop a river, passing by without needing your engagement. Stay present, grounded, and open to this moment, no matter what time you are listening and practicing this meditation. Namaste.